I'm not feeling terribly confident about what I'm about to try to do, that is preach a sermon. And I'm from the deep south, and down where I'm from, when the preacher's having a hard time, the congregation who wants the preacher to give them something to help get them through the week will send the preacher good vibes, So I'll take all the good vibes you have to give me this morning. This gospel scene is a teaching scene in which Jesus is teaching his disciples. You remember last week, the disciples were overheard. They're on the road. Jesus and his friends are on the road, and Jesus overhears them arguing amongst themselves. You remember what it was about? About who is the greatest. He overhears that. Now, that's a real problem for Jesus because the whole point is love. The whole point of being alive is love. The whole point of being a follower of Jesus is love. He's been teaching them all along the way, so far as they've traveled the road together, that receiving and giving love is the doggone meaning of life. They're his closest crew, and here they are, not total newcomers to the way of love, arguing about who in the heck is the greatest. Jesus knows he has work to do, and when a teacher has to go into remediation, right, with the students, it's kind of like, time out, stop, everybody, put your pencils down, sit down. I'm going to sit down too. So my man sits down. Last week's gospel, you remember, it literally says, Jesus sat down. Y'all got to sit down. And he starts to teach them that the first will be last and the last will be first. This whole thing is about love. And today's gospel section is what follows in that seated teaching moment. And what I see in the gospel is what I'm going to call four tips for the road. So Jesus sits everybody down and he says, okay, we got a lot more work to do. I need y'all to have some more tools in your toolkit. So I've got 4 things I want to teach you. And that's what this scene this morning is about. And what I want to challenge, Hendree, want to challenge myself and you all to, is to pick one of the 4 things. Just one. Don't be a hero. Pick one of the 4 things and try to put it into play this week. See, as followers of Jesus, we're called to proclaim the gospel of God's love for all creation with our actual lives. So can I give you the 4 things? If you want to, you can turn to page 5 in your bulletin and follow along in the gospel, but you don't have to. You don't have to. The first thing that happens is the disciples ask a follow-up question. They say, hey, Jesus, we saw somebody doing some stuff, casting out demons, but they're not doing it the way we do it. Okay, amen. Who did it? Amen, right? This is the Harrison way. You do it the Harrison way. What's your last name? Put it in the blank there. This is the Williams way. This is the Smith way. This is the Good Shepherd way. I saw Alice doing something, and she does not do it the way I do it. So, hey, could we have a little intervention with Alice? And Jesus says no. He says, hell no. He says there's more than one way to do good in this world. So what if this week, this first tip for the road, what if this week you keep your eyes open for somebody's doing something loving and kind and good, but it ain't the way you were raised to do it. It's not the way your people do it. But instead of going straight to criticism, y'all hear about Barry? Lean in and say, hey, Barry, will you tell me, how did you do that? I'm curious. So the tip is get rid of criticism as your knee jerk and get into curiosity. Hey, how'd you do that? Would you tell me more about that? Jesus follows up with his second tip for the road. He says, because y'all get real. Whoever is doing something fundamentally kind, namely, whoever gives you a cup of water to drink because you bear the name of Christ. Come on, a cup of water? This is not exactly solving the world's problems, Jesus. A cup of water? What's his point? No. Mustard seed, baby. Something real simple. Something real simple that's fundamentally kind. My friend here needs an umbrella. Well, that's a little thing, isn't it? Not when it's raining. What if this week we pay, like maybe this is the one you choose. What if this week in your day-to-day, I don't know, where are you going to be, at work, at Kroger, at the house? It's hardest to do it at the house, isn't it? What if you do something little bitty that's fundamentally like no strings attached, like ain't nothing in it for you? Huh? Something little bitty that's fundamentally kind. And what if you have this faith that God will make your small act of kindness have a big impact? That's pretty cool, isn't it? Third tip for the road. Y'all want to talk about hell? Did y'all notice that Emily read this funny word, Gehenna? So in this teaching moment, Jesus says, life is for and about love. And if you're into something, like if you got a bad habit or you're into some kind of behavior that gets you off the mark of love, causes you to stumble out into some place that is other than or less than love, it'd be better for you to cut that thing totally out of your life, like cutting off your hand or gouging out your eye. That's how radical I want you to get, than to be in Gehenna, hell. You with me? So he's saying, whatever you're doing, cut it out. Okay, we need to talk here though. Me, and y'all, we need to talk. What you were taught about hell is probably not what Jesus thinks hell is about. Hell is can we do a little Sunday school thing here? Hell is an English word, right? Well, Jesus didn't speak English. So your first question is, well, what was that word hell translated from? Well, it was translated from a Greek word. Why a Greek word? Because the New Testament, my friend John knows, was recorded in Greek. And the Greek word is Gehenna. That's what Emily read. Gehenna is an actual place. Gehenna is a valley outside of Jerusalem. If we could all get on a magic carpet, we could go to Gehenna right this second. We could walk down into Gehenna Valley outside of the walls of the old city of Jerusalem. Are you with me? Gehenna is a Greek word from another word with a Hebrew derivation. Why Hebrew? Because Jesus was a Jew. The Jews were Hebrews, and a lot of them had this language, the Hebrew language. The word from the Hebrew is Hinnom, and the actual name of the valley is Son of Hinnom Valley. We're a long way from a fiery place where you're going to burn because you ain't no good, aren't we? Are you with me? So Son of Hinnom Valley. Now what the heck is that about? Well, Hinnom is just a name. So my last name is Harrison. So what if my father had owned a valley? And in a real burst of creativity, he had named it Harrison Valley. And then he died and he had a will and he left it to me. And we were real traditional folks. He would call it Son of Harrison Valley. Well, who's that? Me. That's all this is. Okay, so then what gives? Why did he use this Gehenna Valley, this Son of Hinnom Valley in his teaching? Because Gehenna Valley was the city trash dump. No, literally. Gehenna Valley was our equivalent of the landfill. Now, who wants to go have lunch at the landfill this afternoon? Nobody. Now, back in Jesus' day, and by the way, this is still done some places, especially where I'm from, when you dumped your trash out in Gehenna Valley, you'd set fire to it. Why? Well, it just hastens the decomposition, right? You got a burn barrel. We used to have a burn barrel when I was a kid. Yeah, you just put it out in the burn barrel and you set it on fire and the trash is gone. So Gehenna Valley is a trash dump that's kind of always smoldering. Now you really want to go out there and eat lunch, don't you? What's more, before that, the local lore, remember, let local lore be local lore. Did I say literal truth? No, I said local lore. Before it was a smoldering, burning trash dump, the local lore said that Son of Hinnom Valley was a place where there were human sacrifices. Amen? Now, who wants to go eat lunch out there? So when Jesus is teaching in Jerusalem, Zach, he's up on a hill. It's like being right here in y'all's warmth and your love and your fellowship, right? And he says, this is what you want to be, right here with your people. And if something is causing you to not be in the thick of it, cut it out. Because if you don't, it'd be like being down there in Gehenna Valley. So here's what hell is. I'm going to define it for you. You ready? You ready? Hell is chosen distance from love. Can I say it again? Hell is chosen distance from love. Now, when I knelt down right there, I could feel y'all's energy. Come on, help this preacher, y'all. Help this preacher. I could feel it. But Zach, look at me. I'm walking away. I'm choosing to walk away from you. Chosen distance from your love. Chosen, this is my guy right here, John Brooks. I am choosing to walk away from him. Hell is a chosen, there's Cav and his family, and I'm choosing to back away from them. A chosen distance from love. This is hell. Whatever has caused me to choose to be away from y'all, what is it, my pride? Is it my ego? You know, before I learned not to lie, does anybody remember lying when they were a little kid? Okay, thank you. Boy, a bunch of saints and angels in here. Before I learned not to lie, I was in this, when I was a kid, it was like in this continual hell. Because, Zach, one lie leads to another, right? And you got to tell another one to cover that lie, and another one. And pretty soon I'm out in the darn parking lot, and y'all are all in here. And so what I learned to do, because it was hellish, that isolation, I'm a 14-year-old kid, and I can't be near anybody because I've told this whole pack of lies. So what you do when you find yourself in hell, and you remember your friend Pam, and you're like, oh my God, I want to be near Pam again, is you do what I did. You come back across the distance. Do y'all see how I just walked right back in here? I just walked right back in this room, and come hell or high water, I ain't going to lie. Whatever it is, Pam, I'm going to tell you the truth because I need to be near you. Does that make any sense to y'all? So what if this week, what's that thing? Don't say it. It's okay. It's private. What is that thing you do that isolates you? You don't have to tell anybody what it is. It's okay. But what is that thing that you do that isolates you, that is your chosen distance from love? What if this week you just look at it and you just name it? Maybe write it down someplace, and then say, God, this is what I'm doing, and it's really separating me, and it's hell, and will you please, God, take it from me, because I'm powerless to do it on my own. Does that make sense? That's tip number 3. Fourth and final one, that I promise I'll sit back down. I love this last one. Have salt in yourselves and be at peace with one another. Now, what does salt do? Salt, when you put it in an appropriate amount on a piece of food, brings out the flavor. The natural flavor. That's what salt's designed to do. Bring out the natural flavor in something. So if I'm going to be salt, that I'm going to try to enter into a relationship with my buddy Lee here in a way that is not treating him as something to be useful to me, but in a way that's self-emptying, so that Lee's natural gifts and talents and joy and love can be just salted, just so he shines, baby. So he shines and I'm off the stage, and now we're all looking at Lee because he's got a love to give that God planted in him. It wants to come out. And as his brother and his buddy and his friend and fellow follower of Jesus, I just want to lend just a little bit of me to him so he can shine and shimmer with love. So what if this week, especially the one, y'all ever have trouble with anybody? Sometimes I have trouble with people. Nobody in here. What if this week, somebody, it doesn't have to be somebody you're having trouble with, but somebody, maybe somebody you're having trouble with, you try to be a little salt for them and then step away and let them shine. And then Jesus says what will happen is you will be supernaturally at peace with your neighbors. That's number 4. So when the disciples of Jesus got off track, He said, y'all, it ain't about winning and being right and being great. He said, sit down. And then he gave them these 4 things. And he said, if you want to help me spread love, pick one, do it all week, and tell me about it next Sunday.